Okay, so thanks for joining me here on correlation. So what we want to do is we want to plot a scatter diagram, okay? So in order to do a scatter diagram in your calculator, we need to use our stat button. So we're going to go ahead and click the stat button. And then we need to input our data, and that we input through edit. So just click enter because it's all set up there. And we're going to enter our data into lists. Now, if you notice, my lists there are already things in there, and I don't want that. So if I want to get rid of it, what I'm going to do is use the up arrow, and then I'm going to hit clear and enter, and notice how the whole entire list goes away. So use the up arrow so the L2 is highlighted, click clear and enter, and now I'm back to something fresh, okay? All right, so I'm going to use the data with our golf swing example. So bear with me while I plug the numbers in. So we're going to use 2 columns. And if ever you need to push pause so that you have time to plug these in as well, that's totally fine. Okay, go to the next column and add the next numbers. $263, lost my spot there for a second, $275. Okay, now I just realized I'm kind of dusty here. Let me clean that off a little bit. So once you have your columns entered in there, remember that to get out of the lists, you can't just push clear or anything like that. You have to hit the quit button. So we're going to go second quit, and that gets us back to the main screen. Now we're doing a scatter diagram, so that is going to be a stat plot. Okay, a stat plot is just basically a graph for statistics. So in order to do that, we're going to have to hit second and then the stat plot button. And it doesn't really matter which one you use. Normally just the first one is best. Okay, so if you click enter on that first one, now you can toggle back and forth between on and off. So if it was on off, click to on and click enter. And so that's highlighted. And then we have our choice between a couple of different graphs here. So there's a histogram, there's a box plot, there's a couple other little graphs. But that very first one there, the one that's highlighted now, that's the scatter diagram, just a bunch of dots. So we're going to click enter on that. And then notice that it says X list is L1 and the Y list is L2. And that is true for us. That's what we've got. So we can cycle down through, just use your arrow, and then we can hit enter. Oh, no, we're not going to hit enter. Stupid me. We're going to hit graph. Okay. Now, you might not get anything on your graph, and that's because we're not set up for stat. So what I want you to do is hit zoom, and then we're going to go down, 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 down to the one that says zoom stat. Hit zoom stat, and then the graph will change to a screen that's for statistics graphs. So if you're having trouble and you're like, no graph shows up, go to zoom and go to zoom stat. Okay, so what we get is a bunch of dots plotted there. And now by looking at our dots, we can kind of see that there is a pattern, right? It looks like there's kind of like a bar of dots. It's certainly not in a line, is it? But there's definitely a pattern going on there. Okay, so it's just an easy way to get to see a pattern. Okay, so you can push pause now and go back to the lecture. And then come back to this in a little bit, okay? All right, so now we're talking about the correlation coefficient. And this is another thing that we are not going to do by hand, okay? So let's go back here and get back to doing some statistics. So let's clear, and that'll get us back to the main screen. Now remember that our data is still entered under stat. So our 2 sets of data are still there. If you were using different sets, you'd have to change these, or if you hadn't put anything in there, you'd have to put something in there. Now, before we can do anything else, I have to ask you, so clear out of this, second quit. I have to ask you to do something, and this is a one-time thing. You should never have to do this again, okay? So just one time. What we need to do is we need to tell our calculator that we're going to use it to do special statistics. So what I want you to do is hit second and then the 0 key. Okay, and that's going to get you to catalog. Then I want you to hit the key that says x to the -1, and it's the D, and it just takes the catalog to D. Then I want you to cycle down until what we're looking for is diagnostic on. Okay, diagnostic on, click enter, not off, but on, diagnostic on, click enter, and click enter again, and it should say done. So the thing is that your calculator is not set up to use all of its battery power. So what we're doing is we're telling the calculator, we're doing big calculations here. We need you to use all of your battery power. Now that your diagnostic is on, you should never have to tell the calculator to do it again. You should be good to go for the rest of the semester, okay? So diagnostic on, so that's done, okay? Don't ever worry about that again. Okay, so now we're looking for the correlation coefficient. And the place where we're gonna find that is under stat, and then we're going to look at calc. So if we slide over, the first one was edit, the second one is calc. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to look for this one that says lin reg. Okay, lin reg. And right now you might be like, what the hell does that have to do with anything? I get you, but this is just the way this works. So I want you to click on the one that says lin reg ax plus b, and that stands for linear regression. Hit enter. Now it asks you for the two lists. Now luckily we put our two lists in L1 and L2. Don't worry about frequency. Don't worry about store. Just go with calculate. Boop. And you should get y equals ax plus b, and then you get a equals b equals r squared equals and r equals. Now there's a lot of information there, but right now we're finding the correlation coefficient, and that variable was r. Everybody agree? Okay, so that means what we're looking for is that last value there. R is equal to, and we'll just go to 3 decimals, so 0.939. All right, everybody agree with that one? Okie dokie, go ahead and push pause again on the video. Go back to the lecture and talk through the lecture a little bit more. And now finally, you're back here with me to the video to look at the least square regression line. Now, if you still have this information up on your calculator, then you're good to go. If by chance, though, you had hit clear or something like that, the way that we get this again, remember, is we're going to go stat, over to calc, and then lin reg, linear regression, ax plus b. Click enter. Your lists should be in there. Click calculate, and then you get back to that screen. Now, this time we're looking for the least square regression line. So we want the line in y equals ax plus b form. And they've told us what a is, and they've told us what b is. So we can simply plug in the pieces there that they give us. So our A would be 3.166. So that's going to be, go in the A spot. So 3.166x minus 55.797. Okay, everybody agree? Okay, so we take the A that they've given you there, plug it into the A position, and the B, plug it into the B position, and now we have our line. Okay. All right, so you can come back and watch this over and over again if you need to see where to go. Remember, you do not have to do that diagnostic thing ever again. It's all taken care of, okay? But if something should go wrong, send me an email and I will show you how to fix it, okay? All righty, thank you very much. Whoops, sorry for pushing that around.